Okay, you're watching the second part of video 7.4, again on our special right triangles, our 45, 45, 90, and 30, 60, 90 triangles. And I just wanted to do a couple different types of problems with you that you're going to see pop up, and I think you're going to need some help with. So let's say I give you a square, and I tell you that each side is 5 units. We know in a square that all the sides are the same. And I ask you to find the length of the diagonal. So a diagonal goes quarter to corner. Maybe I'll just draw this one in. Let's say I want you to find that side length right there. Well, we know in a square that all the angles are 90 degrees, and so can you tell me what kind of triangle this is? It's isosceles right. The sides are both 5. That means these angles are congruent, and now I have a 45, 45, 90 right triangle. So whenever I take a square and I draw in its diagonal, it splits it into two 45, 45, 90 triangles. And so now I can find the hypotenuse by, or actually the diagonal, which is the hypotenuse, right, by using my formula. And I can even redraw this for you if you don't like the way it looks inside of the square. And so for my 45, 45, 90, hypotenuse equals the leg length times root 2. Well, my hypotenuse is what I'm looking for. Each leg is 5, and so my answer, the hypotenuse, is 5 root 2. Okay, a little bit different. Let's say I give you a square, and this time I tell you the diagonal is 10, and I want you to find each side of the square. Well, we know in a square all the sides are the same. And we just established that we are going to have 45, 45, 90 triangles here. And so again, if you want, I can redraw this, x, x, 10, and then 45, 45, 90. And so again, we're going to plug into our formula. Hypotenuse equals leg times root 2. My hypotenuse is 10. And so to get the leg lengths, which would be the sides of my square, I'm dividing by root 2. Well, the shortcut, divide 10 by 2. Attach a root 2. So my answer would be each side is 5 root 2. If you did it the long way, you'd multiply by the root over itself. You get 10 root 2 over 2. This would reduce to 5 root 2. So either way, your answer is 5 root 2. So each side of the square is 5 root 2 units long. Okay, so those will pop up with squares and looking at the diagonals or the sides. If I tell you that you have an equilateral triangle, so all the sides are the same, and I tell you each side is 8, and maybe I say, find the altitude. Well, what do you know about an equilateral triangle? If it's equilateral, it's also equiangular, and that means all 3 angles are 60 degrees. But this one gets cut in half. So it's only 30. And do you see now that when I split an equilateral triangle in half with the altitude or the height, I split it into a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. And so if I ask you to find this altitude, I can redraw it for you over here. This is my 60 degree angle, 30, here's 90. I know this side is 8. What's going to happen here, since it's equilateral, it's going to split this in half. So each side there is 4, and I'm asking you for the height. Now, you don't have to use your 30, 60, 90 rules here. You could just use the Pythagorean theorem. But it's actually probably easier just to use the 30, 60, 90 rule. The long leg equals the short leg times root 3. Well, the long leg is what I'm looking for, across from the 60. The short leg is 4, across from the 30, root 3. So that's my answer. The height of the triangle would be 4 root 3 units. So when I take an equilateral triangle, again, and I cut it in half through the with the altitude, you split it into two 30, 60, 90 right triangles. You can use your formulas there. Okay, one more. Let's say I give you an equilateral triangle again, and I tell you this time that your altitude is 15. And I want you to find the side length of each of the sides of this triangle. Well, we just said it's going to cut it into a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. And so we're looking at this scenario here. Well, this is the long leg across from the 60 degree angle, so let's start with that formula. Long leg equals short leg times root 3. My long leg is 15. We're going to divide by root 3. Okay, so the shortcut. Take 15 divided by 3, 5, and attach root 3. If you're doing it the long version, you'd multiply by root 3 over root 3. 15 root 3 over 3, this reduces to 5. Either way, you get 5 root 3 for the short leg. So that means that this is 5 root 3. This is 5 root 3. But remember, I want the total length. All I have to do is double that. 10 root 3, which would also be the length of my hypotenuse. 10 root 3. Okay, so you are going to see some problems on a test or a quiz or a warm-up or homework where you're given squares and equilateral triangles, and they ask you to either find the sides or find the height or find the length of the diagonal. So you're either using your 45, 45, 90 formula for the square or your 30, 60, 90 formulas for the equilateral triangles.